always say that I am the omega of his life. Ako ang last na girlfriend. Sa niya nga girlfriend, ako last. Asawa. So, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so privileged and honored and blessed to be with a group of accomplished and blessed women. And I don't have my slides yet, but anyway, I'm an interactive speaker, so I want nearer to my audience because I want you to get something out of it because, you know, this is not my career, but this is already on my fourth stage of spirituality. You know, lives have chapters. You know, you start as a child, then you become a parent, then you have a career, then I have a change of career. I studied 20 years because I dreamed to become a doctor from grade 1 to be a doctor of medicine. That's 20, right? Then you went into training for another 5 years, then I went into practice, so I spent another 20 as a practicing doctor. Then, I don't know, destiny had a grip on my life. I wanted to go back to Cotabato City because that's my promise. When all my classmates were wanting to go to Canada, to USA, I wanted to go home to Cotabato City, you know? Because when I was 6 years old, I nearly died. Actually, nandun na yung funeraria. Mini-measure na ako. Pero mini-measure na ako kalaki. I got sick of tetanus. And in fact, I stayed 1 month in the hospital. And everybody was ready that my life will be given up. But my mother, for the first time in her life, knelt in the middle of that medical room, hospital room, and prayed that if God will give me my life back, my mother will give her life to Christ. That's where the Christianity started in the family. So ever since that time, I believed in faith. So when God asked me to give up my medical career to be with my husband, and the first posting was Saudi Arabia, you smile. Because I was already president of the Medical Society. I have an ongoing career. And then I was thrown into Saudi Arabia that I have to cover myself, I have to cover my hair. I cannot get out alone. I have to wait for my husband. You know, I have 2 secretaries. I have 2 domestic helpers. I have a driver in the Philippines. And when I went to Saudi Arabia, I have to have my husband with me everywhere I go. So you can just imagine the emotions that I am struggling with in life at that time. So when my husband goes to work, good for him. He's got work. Me, I'm left in the house. And then my children goes to school. I'm totally alone in the house. And I always think of, what if I didn't live my practice? I could have, my self-regard was going down. You know what I did as a woman can do? I filled the bathtub with water, put bubbles, and I just cried and cried for hours so that that emotion of being lonely, being depressed, being disappointed will get out of me. And then I'm so tired, I go to sleep. When they come back, I'm okay again. You know? But that doesn't solve the problem. So now, it's my privilege to be talking about emotional intelligence that helped me more than anybody else. That when my friends, and I share it with my friends, they are touched. They revived. Even though the other friend that I have in Davao, she said, Doctora, your talk kept my fire burning. So that's my aim today. That even when we are retired, my husband's retired in 2 years, our fire will be burning. We will find it in ourselves. So emotional intelligence at breakfast is the best part of the day to find what really are the feelings that bother you. When you wake up in the morning, are you like this lady who reflects? When we reflect in the morning, we're talking about emotions, right? Are you worried? Are you afraid of this day? Are you lonely? You know, you don't go to have your coffee and say, magkano kaya yung aking kita ngayong araw na to? But there's still emotions there, right? You know, you're worried about there's a lot of things that comes into your mind. So emotional intelligence at breakfast, that's good. And sorry, hindi ako ang techno skill ko, I'm an illiterate. Dalawa lang daw yung klaseng tao ngayon sa mundo. You know what they are? Computer literate and the computer illiterate. Nanonood sa illiterate kaya dalaki marami. So, but anyway, this is the company that gave me the certificate as an emotional intelligence coach for EQ 2.0. So if you notice, they have EQ for breakfast too, no? It's trending, you know, at breakfast. These are business women. They talk about how to make business better with emotional intelligence. So the breakfast thing is a trend or a fad. But emotional intelligence is not a trend or a fad. It's been there for years. It's been with you. And my work today is just to encourage you to be conscious about those emotional intelligence that you have so that you will feel more confident about what your life has been and you can be more motivated in the next part of your life. So you would ask me, what's the difference, Doktora, of IQ and EQ? Oh, si Judge Derry, taas din ng IQ niya. Because he's a judge, you know? And all of you here, being professionals, have a very high IQ. Your diploma is an exhibit of your high IQ, you know? But why is it that EQ is getting into the arena? Because they found out that some people who have high IQ, parang tongue twister, you know, well, who have high IQ make the dumbest decision of their lives. You know, the road rage, yeah? Bright, lawyer, manampak sa MMDA, you know? That means he was not able to handle her emotions right. Bisan ano ka ka-bright, kung manampak ka man lang or mangakig ka sa Facebook, people will judge you already. So IQ gets you hired. EQ gets you promoted. EQ is your soft skills. The way you handle your moods, your attitudes, the way you handle your relationships, from partners to children, to your co-workers, to the community. That's where your EQ lies. They would even say that when it comes to success in business, EQ, it's IQ. Kasi makikita mo yung mga businessman, like, you know, Bronson, the manager and owner of the Virgin airplanes, you know, he used more his EQ rather than his IQ. Bezos of Amazon is one of the highly emotionally intelligent people. That's why they are successful. That's why Google, Mead Johnson, and other big companies in America are now hiring emotional intelligence coach, so that their people will find their emotional intelligence, that they will become more productive, more loyal to the company. At the end, they are happier people. So when I am happy, I can share you to become happy because I am happy. I cannot share you being happy when I myself is not happy with myself. So the emotional intelligence that I bumped in helped me more than anybody else so that I can support my husband in his career, and of course, my children will be able to understand me. So because by 2020, parents who are having problems with your children, take note of this. One skill projected for success in 2020 that didn't even crack the top list in 2015. You know? 16, 17, 18, 4 years, 5 years. Emotional intelligence is one of the skills. Aalisin na nila yung mga, of course, the IQ is okay, you know, but the companies will be looking with people who are high in emotional intelligence. What does that mean? That means they have an attitude to learn. That means they can solve problems. That means they can decide better in life, you know, so that in their decision making, they can achieve better goals. That's what emotional intelligence is all about. And of course, do you know that the more you are emotionally intelligent, you can help bringing up kids who are emotionally intelligent? How can you tell your kids to be, you should be emotionally intelligent, when you yourself doesn't know what emotional intelligence is? Let's go back. Is your breakfast a time to reflect on your emotions? Is it fine emotions? Like, I feel tired, I feel refreshed, I feel good about this, and I'm happy that today you sang, you're so energetic, you know, because it's all positive. But my dear, face life every day is not always like this. It could also be like this. You accept it. Are the worries of life overwhelming you? Don't be shy about it. It happens. It happens in every chapter of our life. What the problem is, don't stay that way every day. You know? You accept the emotion, validate it, don't repress it, because that's the way you will understand who you are and how you can manage these emotions. Because, my dear, life is very emotional experience. Every day, every moment, you have an experience of emotion. And medically, emotions have functions. What do? As a culture, we repress those emotions. Kumusta ka? Okay lang. Parang kuta-bata mo, anong nahimo sa balay? Ilong ko man tanan, no? Anong nahimo sa school? Kita mo. Pero nabuli na gali siya dito. Di ba, no? So we don't know how to express those emotions because we deny these emotions. In emotional intelligence, you do not deny it because it has a function. And the worst thing about emotions is that your body reacts to it. Hindi mo na ma-deny. Kung akig ka na yan, hindi mo na yan akig ka, gasmay ka. Hindi. Your body will react. You know, when you're angry, your blood pressure will go high because you need those energy to fight or flight. That's normal. That's a human being reaction. You know? Nga ang nag-cold and clammy ka kung itong bata-bata ka sa school, di ba? Pag may exam, nananervyos ka or kung may akig ka, these are body responses that your body is ready to fight. That's why, kung akig ka, mas malakas ka manuntok. Di ba? Pero ang Ilonggo ko, no, kalambing nila, ariin mo ay. That's how my friends tell me that ang mga Ilonggo, kahit nagalit na, ariin mo ay. Akig ako. I think the Ilonggos are emotionally intelligent. Why bother with these emotions? Why? Because these emotions that you feel will affect your relationship with your partner. You know? My husband and I, when we were younger, I found it difficult that always we fight. You know? Sa samban ako, gasyagit ka naman. Ako? Gasyagit? You know, but of course, when emotional intelligence bumped into me, I realized, bakit yung asawa ko nagagalit na nagasigaw ako? Nagasigaw ba talaga ako? No? So you reflect on it. Because sa akin, hindi ako nagasigaw. You know why? Because my mom trained me to become a declaimer and orator. That even without a microphone, I say, I don't want even this microphone because it disturbs my expression. That even without the microphone, my voice will go down to the auditorium. That's why I win medals, you know. So now that I knew it, I told my husband, na sorry ka na lang kasi ganun ako. That's the unique self of me, no? Because of my background. So I will try to tone down my voice, and then you will help me, you know. When you feel that I'm already irritating you, raise your hand. That's expression, you know? And we do better. And then, when I went into emotional intelligence, I understood that each one has its own personality. Personalities are different from emotional intelligence. Then I realized that my husband was highly sensitive personality. That means sounds, higher sounds, he irritates him. So even my voice, even though he loves me, will still irritate his ears. So I will understand him, so we compromise. You know, that's emotional intelligence. You compromise, you negotiate. You do not fight for your right. You know? And so, what else? What happens to you? Oh God! I was 135 when I went to Saudi Arabia. When I left Saudi Arabia, why I was 165? You know, because why? Because these emotions of loneliness and motivation will bring you to food. Yeah, you have food binging. Kaya pag may nakita kayong tao na nag-food binging, you will know that there are some emotional struggles inside. And another thing, what happens when you are a spouse of a diplomat and you are depressed? Oh no, I go shop. I have nothing to do. I shop. And then you would realize that you're spending much more money in useless things. You know? So, kami, naku, Diyos mo yung mga spouse, syempre, yan, kailangan naka-Prada yan. Siyempre, sa hanggang country, yung wala kang Prada. No? Kaya ako, I intentionally use the bayong now. You know, because it doesn't make who you are, the signatures. So, you have to manage these emotions. So, what I did was we placed like a intelligent shopping. Yun ang money. Ano yun? My best friend and I, Saudi Arabia was full of wonderful and expensive and luxurious things, you know. So we go around, and this is nice, it's too expensive. And then, let's go home. Kung hindi tayo makatulog, balikan natin. So that's what we call intelligent shopping. Okay? But you as parents would also affect the moods and attitude of your children. That still belongs to emotional intelligence. And of course, if you have I call the hot emotions, you have also the low emotions. You have anger, you have frustration on the other side, you have loneliness, emptiness, depression. You know, you fail something, you feel that you're a loser. What do? You are unmotivated. What do? You drink. You know, then it will cause alcoholism for the young people. That's why they went into drugs. Because they are dealing with an emotion. But what's one of my mentors would say, these are emotions that you do to relieve your emotions for a short time. Like, for example, drinking. You've got a problem. You drink. You forget about the problem. You stop drinking, the problem comes back. You know? That's why when you say that people in the call centers have too much sex
Then you get another set. Then you have HIV. Then you go to another problem, you know? When you are not able to manage the emotions that troubles you, it will come to the point that it will not only destroy who you are, but also the people around you. So, there are things that we cannot change. It's good if you have a child like this, you know. Please grant me the serenity to accept these parents that I cannot change. I hope none of your children are praying like that now. But you have to be happy if he's praying. She's emotionally intelligent as young as he is, you know. So emotional intelligence affects your ability to know yourself. Kailangan mo talaga ang sarili mo. Hindi yung iniisip mo na ikaw. If iniisip mong prinsesa ka, tapos wala ka namang kingdom, no, magbaba-baba ka na. Hanapin mo na talaga yung sarili mo. No? Because when you understand yourself, it will be easier for you to understand others. So when you understand others, you improve communication. Di ba? Tulad sa akin, nag-communicate kami ng asawa ko. Akin niya lang. Ang kamay niya. So, we're 40 years married this year. Cope with the demands and pressure. God, how can I do my work as a spouse when I'm trained to become a doctor? You know? How can I host? I'm not trained. I'm not in the culinary arts. But I have to do it because I'm the spouse of a diplomat. How can I communicate with people? All the people that I meet were my patients, so I'm higher than them. So it's easier to communicate because I just dictate the management. But how about if in front of you is a princess, or the king, or the prime minister? Where do I get that skill? You know? So I have to develop those skills. So create and maintain professional and personal relationships. But most of all, maintain mental health and well-being. If I was not able to find my EQ on the 23 years that I'm in different countries and different people, I won't be here talking to you. Perhaps I'll be at home remorseful that I changed my profession, you know. But I found something in me that I can share with you to keep your fire burning and keep my fire burning also. So these are the building blocks of emotional intelligence: self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal relationships, decision-making, but most of all, stress management. What else are you finding? You know? So know yourself. Before you go to number 2, you have to know who you are. You know, ako, ang babae, na gusto ko yung mga colors, ganito tulad nito. I love these colors. But I don't care if they are untidy or, you know, or messy. As long as my room is color coordinated, I'm fine. My husband, he doesn't care about color coordination. He wants a neat and orderly situation. So you have to find which one. So how do my husband and I, like, live a harmonious life? You know, before, when we were new, we have all these things together, and my husband will fold everything, the undies and everything. I was a medical student, so I was happy, and I was always rushing. So I put my undies out, and all the undies went down, and my husband was, and then hold me in the hand, and he was so mad. And my answer is, you do that again, I'll go home to my mom. You know? But then I realized that there are things that I have to change. But I cannot change completely because that's I am. So, maganda yung cabinet namin in 1 day or 2, on the 3rd day, wala na. So, you know what I did, and I realized that's what EQ has problem-solving skills. What I did, I put one cabinet for me and one cabinet for him. So every place or country that we go that I have to look for a house, that's at the first criteria, that the bedroom has 2 cabinets. So when you open his cabinet, it's so neat and clean and orderly. You open mine, it's
all messy all over. But I know where it is. And so my husband would say, if you cannot beat them, join them. But you know, self-awareness is having an accurate and clear perception of your personality, including your strengths and weaknesses. Akuin mo yun. May strengths ka, may weaknesses ka. Pero kung hindi mo naman kailangan yung weaknesses, huwag mo na lang ibalandra yung weaknesses. Yung strength na lang ibalandra mo. Because the strength can be stronger. The weakness, if you need it, because you need it in your work or in your family, then you have to have a bigger effort to improve that weakness. Be conscious about it, okay? So, you have to have a clear perception of who you are. Hindi kay blurred. You have to have a clear. No? Noon, talagang pango yung ilong ko eh. Bakit ako mag-isip na matangos ako, no? So, my brother was so worried about me. My brother and sisters were medyo mestiza. Ako ang medyo sinasabi kong simple, hindi naman ugly, no? Kasi parang hindi maganda sa buho. Kaya sabi ng brother ko, bakit yung lips mo makakapal, yung gano'n? So imbis na magalit ako sa brother ko, he was more concerned because by that time, the beauty was thin lips up and bigger at below. No, at the time, no?
Yeah.
Pero, so tinignan ko yung sarili ko sa movie. That's a reflection sa mirror. I said, if that's my face, that's my face. Hindi naman ako tatakbo as Miss Universe. Diba? Kasi yan ang realidad. Pero, may positive thinking pa ako. Darating ang araw ng pinamagandang babae sa mundo. It's a full lips. So it happened. Angelina Jolie wants, everybody wants to be Angelina Jolie. So, self-regulation. Pag alam mo na itong mga emotion na nag-bother you, that stops you from being happy, or from growing, or developing yourself, you regulate it. We cannot change what we are not aware of. And once we are aware, we cannot help but change. So that's what I did when I realized na wala na akong lusot, na magiging spouse na ako ng diplomat, hindi na ako makabalik as a doctor because they don't want me to practice because I have a visa, which is a Class A visa with diplomatic immunity. And even the Saudi hospital wanted to accept me, so my passport, and he said, oh no, as if he was trying me. So by that time, I have to accept that I cannot practice while I am a spouse of a diplomat. So I changed my what-ifs. What if I did not go with my husband? I could be more, financially independent, Sabi nga nila, Doktora, alam mo, yung mga intern mo, ang lalaki na ng mga bahay, mga gano'n, no? Sabi ko, change perception. Change your perception. 7 yung countries na pinuntahan ko. 7 yung bahay ko sa iba-ibang country. Tapos, sabi nila, alam mo, si ganito-ganito, ang kotse niya, expedition, Fortuner na, mga intern mo lang yun noon, kung hindi ka sana umalis ng pagka-doktor. Sabi ko, well, I don't own it, but I ride a Mercedes-Benz, a BMW, a Rolls-Royce, because of my husband. No? So it's a matter of changing your perceptions and being optimistic with your life. So change your what-ifs to what is. What is what I can do? So, when I changed my what is, I did this. I was the one who was fixing the tables. These are the dinners for the ambassadors and ministers of Canada. Sorry, my ambassador Curly was recorded. So, once you do this, and when you realize that those emotions that are negative was not defeating you, but was trying to get the potentials out of you. God is telling you there's more potential in you than just being a doctor, So my self-regard came back. So the greatest challenge in life is discovering who you are. Kung sino ka talaga. Hindi yung iniisip mo ikaw. Find your strength, find your weakness. And you know what's the greatest? The second greatest thing in life? Is being happy of what you feel. No, kahit na ganito yung mukha ko, siya ako.
and self-actualization. When I bumped into emotional intelligence and I've learned that this is the one that can help me, I studied it. I went into Google. I went into my physiology books to study the physical, chemical of emotions, you know. And then my husband would say, alam mo, ikaw lang yung taong walang trabaho na napupuyat. And then I will discuss it with him. And he said, he's got a lot of problems. You know, Jeddah, the tent city, that's his. And the hostage release of the 5 fishermen from Somalia, that's his. But I have to talk to him. And I said, kanino man akong mag-usap dito dun sa katulong natin? So he has to wake up late at night so that I can discuss these things with him. So God's greatest gift to us is unlimited. We are unlimited in our potential. Even I'm 63 and I can still see the potential. Kaya si Judge, nakita ni kahit na-retired siya, he's got all the potentials. You have lot of potentials, which is stopped by some emotions. You know, being a doctor was the one that's stopping me to find the other talents that I have. So when I changed the what ifs to what is, I can bake the best cake in your life. I can do the hosting for everything. You know, I am the best event planner. You know, because I can plan the reception of my husband in 1 day's time. I can host an ambassador and Secretary Del Rosario in a best manner that Secretary Del Rosario would say, I want to have dinner again in your house. You know? So, but because I have to change my what ifs to what is. And you know what's our gift to God? Our greatest gift to God is to use that potential to the fullest. At this day, you have to find those potentials, and there are a lot more in all of you. You could just imagine all these women here have all their potentials together. How will be the empowerment of the brotherhood for Christian business and professional? You know, I met who's got a glamping Ivy. He's got this big thing in her life. So go for it. I can help you with it, with finding the emotional intelligence. So once you know yourself, it's easier for you to express what you know with the other person, just like I did with my husband, you know. And assertiveness, because it's in the Bible, you have to submit. Submission is not passive. Na kahit ayaw mo, susunod ka, hindi ka masaya. So, pinapatong-patong mo yung mga hindi mo gusto, then you become aggressive. Then ayoko na, aalis na ako dito, you know? In emotional intelligence, you have to check these emotions and try to be assertive. Kasi, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. You know? May mangyayari. Paminsan kasi pag umpugan na, ayoko na, nam na ako dito sa organization na to, alis na lang ako. Kasi hindi na-develop yung potential mo, no? But if you're able to say, ay, Lu, eto ba yung gusto kong ganito? Pwede ba tayo, sabi ni Lu, pwede tayo siguro alas 8, hindi pwede alas 9, di ba? Negotiation yan di ba? So, something can happen. Pero pag, hindi pwede, ayoko na lang. So, nawawalan ka ng tao or something, you know? So, interpersonal relationships, it will help you, even with you and your parents, you and your husband, you and your children, because you will know what empathy is, and you will know what social responsibility is. Emotional intelligence can help you everywhere, from boardroom to bedroom. You know? Decision making, problem solving. You know, if you are emotionally intelligent, you will be losing time of lingering with that problem. Kasi alam mo anong gusto mo Nakita mo? Because hindi mo alam, yung problema, hala, tumagal na, tumanda ka na, galit ka dun sa nangutang sa iyo. No, stress ka every day, you know? And what happens to you? So you have to decide. You have to resolve. You have to have the reality check. Hindi na siya talaga makabayad. Bakit? namatay na siya eh. It happened to me, Yung aking kotse, nangutang yung isang tao, ilang taon na. Hindi siya nagbayad, and all of a sudden, I heard na namatay na siya. What else can I do, So, impulse control. Yan ang kontrolin mo kung saan ka mag-express. And alam mo kung sino mag-control sa'yo? Sarili mo. Nobody will stop. Nobody will control you except you. So, stress management. Alam mo ba na stress is good for you? Yeah. Stress can be a friend. Bakit? Pag stress ka, yung BP mo mataas, di ba, yung heartbeat mo bumabilis, increase ang oxygenation ng brain mo. Di ba, creative ka talaga? Marami kang natatapos na trabaho pag stress ka. Ang problema sa stress, huwag mong patagalin. Pag hindi ka marunong mag-manage ng stress na yun at magpo-prolong yun, your body will give up and then you will have a poor performance. Yan ang sinasabi ko sa mga doktor. Actually, this EQ, I've been talking to doctors and medical students for a long time. So, flexibility, optimism, they are part of emotional intelligence. But there's the good news. IQ peaks when you're 21 and plateaus and goes down at 60. Kaya yung IQ ko, yung memory ko, hindi na magkanyon. Pero yung motivation ko at ang attitude ko to move on with life is there. So, EQ can be improved at any age of your life. Kahit na 80 ka na siguro or 100, it will still be improved. Why? Because you will look back in your life and be satisfied that what you have done was the best that you can. Life is chapters. If you divide your life chapter by chapter, now I'm starting another chapter of my life. Emotional intelligence is a competency. Hindi mo pwedeng, ngayon naka-lecture na si doktora ng 15 minutes, okay na ako. No. You have, what I'm going to tell you is you have to observe yourself daily. Kaya hindi mo man yan mag-pick up sa unang araw. Ano ba talagang nagbabother sa akin? Bakit ako malungkot? What brings me to be feeling empty? So you have to think, and then you practice bukas. Pag naramdaman ko itong lungkot ko, siguro maglakad-lakad muna ako. Is it effective? Well, it's getting to be effective. Or manood ako ng probinsyano. Pero pag namatay doon, malungkot din ako. Yeah? So you need to observe and practice every day. But emotional intelligence can be trained, can be coached, and can be experienced. So, walang sabi sa inyo, wala na ako, hopeless na ako dyan. No! Everybody has hope to improve their emotional intelligence. It's a matter of being conscious and being aware of it. So, the only person who can change what you feel, not me, not Malu, it's you. So today, can I have that card? When you go home, can you try to reflect on what you feel? And then you can have this, I'm bringing this, you can write it at home or whatever, I don't need it, but you need it. From now on, I will forget the one na nangutang sa akin ng 1 million. From now on, I have to live this life, You know these words? These eyes will not, from now on, these eyes will not be blinded by the lights. I was blinded by the money that I can get as a doctor, So I stopped doing what a doctor was because hindi naman nila ako binabayaran. But I was getting down and I was stagnating. So I do my work pro bono para sa bayan. Or from now on, what's waited till tomorrow starts today. That's why when I bumped into emotional intelligence, even the nights I make it day. When I went to Canada, I looked for a training center, and a lot of training centers did not accept me. Why? One, I was alone.
Two, I was not Canadian. They wanted an organization, a government, you know. So finally, I was able, in my search of how many training centers I tried to call, I tried to email, I finally found one. That's the Emotional Intelligence Training Center of Canada that I got the certificate. Oh, let this promise. You have to promise in you that it will start in you. Or like an anthem in my heart, create a mantra. If that negative feeling starts always, that you're worried, create a mantra in your head. Ikaw lang yan ang makakagawa ng mantra sa utak mo na, oh, this day, I have to overcome this. Or a song, I walk in the garden alone, or Jesus saves. You have to create a mantra on yourself from now on. You know this? You know the movie, The Greatest Showman on Earth? From now on, these eyes will not be blinded by the lights. From now on, what's waited till tomorrow starts tonight, starts today. Please start yourself. Don't waste time. Don't wait when you're 63 and find the potential in you. You are young. Find it now. So let this promise in me start. Like an anthem in my heart from now on. These are the paintings I've done. The only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Good morning.
Wonderful, very wonderful talk. Actually, there are some few questions.
Let's have a question.
Yes.
This is very nice talk.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot about this, no? But I had an experience when I was still working. When we were rated on emotional intelligence, there were 3 of us division chiefs. I was the full-fledged one. And I was rated. I didn't get the highest rating. On emotional intelligence, I was rated not very low, but 1 point lower than my peers. What happened? I just laughed, no? I said, what I've gone through, a roller coaster in life, I survived, and I was still whole. But my